Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we have finally started on our fence project, which actually I started on it yesterday, but I kind of wanted to get my first H-brace built before I started putting it on camera and trying to show how it was done. I wanted to make sure that everything was done correctly and that things were working out correctly. I guess, you know, it kind of would have been a learning experience for both of us. This is the first time I've ever built fencing this way. You know, I put in T-posts before and stretched a wire around it, but this is a little bit different because we're actually working with the state to get some funding and stuff to build pastures and stuff in our property. All this stuff has to be done to their specifications in order for them to help fund this. On all the corners or any places where there's a line pull, you have to have an H-brace built, or anywhere that there's going to be a gate or something like that where there's weight hanging on the post that your gate is mounted to, then you're going to have an H-brace. So that's what we're working on today. I'm going to take you in here and show you kind of what we've got going on. The hardest part for me on this has been the incline, because none of this is flat ground. And even on this corner, the ground is not flat. It's actually going downhill one way and then uphill a little bit on the other direction. So all this has kind of been a learning process for me of how to do this. So let me show you what we've got going on to kind of overcome these obstacles, just to kind of get started, because like I say, this is all new to me. So you all follow along, you can kind of learn with me. Hopefully my learning experience with it will help somebody else out that is maybe trying to do this. This post over here is actually almost a foot higher than what the post is over here. And I was thinking I was going to have to put like a 10-foot post on the low end and have the 8-foot post over here. And then that way the height of the post would actually be the same. You can run your H-brace straight, but that's not the case. Our contact at the state actually said that even the H-brace just follows the contour of the ground. So with that being said, you know, I did want to square this up and make, because this is a corner right here. We're going to have fence running back towards you all, and then we're going to have fence running down the hill. But all we did was put our post 3 feet in the ground on the high side and 3 feet in the ground on the low side. So the top of our post is still 5 feet out of the ground on both ends. And to compensate for that, we just cut an angle on our brace in order for it to match up to the post on each end, so that that has got the same distance from the top of the post to the brace on both ends. We just cut our angle on there, and this thing is solid as a rock. Of course, we've got our high tensile wire on here, and we've got it tightened up good and pulled the post into itself, which the direction of the fence is actually going to be pulling this way. So as we pulled the strainer tight, it actually pulled the post on this end this direction, so that when the fence is pulling that direction, they're actually pulling against each other, and it makes this stay solid for years and years. One good way that you can tell that is the fact that once I pulled this post, you could actually see the post move a little bit away from the ground and create a little bit of void there. So we know that that's pulling in the correct direction in order for our fence to be pulling the opposite direction. So anyways, that's what we've got going on. And it took me all day pretty much yesterday to set this, just because of it being the first time. And you know, my post hole digger, like I say, this is all on a hill. So when you set your tractor on there, your post hole digger sets crooked too. I'll show you how to compensate for that here in just a minute, but it's been a little bit tricky and a little bit time consuming. But I think setting this other corner will be much faster today. I've got rain coming in here in the next couple hours, so I'm trying to hurry up and get this done and at least get this corner set. And that'll be a big load off my shoulders, because this is that first step in trying to get the fence run, and this is the biggest learning process right here. So after we get this corner, we've only got 10 acres to go. We've got to have 10 acres fenced into 5 2-acre paddocks. So there's definitely going to be a lot of learning, and by the end of this, I'll probably be pretty decent at putting fence in. So yeah, I look forward to doing this project. So make sure to click that subscribe button and follow along with us, and maybe we can learn something together about putting up fences. So what I'm doing here, checking this out, is checking my level as close as I can get it. I mean, you're not going to get this 100% perfect, because I mean, the implement has movement and stuff to it, but as long as you're pretty close. Plus, this seems to be working out pretty good for me. I'm using a post that is 7 inches on the small end, and it kind of tapers down to about 6 or 6.5. Some of them they kind of vary just a little bit. but this is a 9-inch auger, and that leaves me just enough room around the post to be able to tamp it in with my tamping tool pretty much all the way around the post. The main thing is side to side, getting this leveled up. That way you're not drilling the hole sideways. Front to back is very important too, but you can adjust that with the tractor just by moving forward or backwards just a little bit. And I've actually got this one setting, the bottom of it's actually angled out just a hair, because as it goes down, the farther it goes down, it'll kind of straighten itself out. So I want to kind of leave it right in this position. So if you need to change the angle left to right, then you can come back here on the back of the tractor and adjust your length. This only is adjustable on my tractor on this one side. And what I've found, if you put the adjustable link on the high side, then you have enough room to be able to move this to the angle that you want. If you put it on the low side, my link, I keep it most of the time shortened all the way as short as it'll go, so there's no adjustment the other direction. Now, if a person had their non-adjustable link, if they had it adjusted down already and they already have threads, then you could adjust this both ways. But just the way I've been keeping my tractor set up, I've kept them as short as they will go. So for me personally, I just put the adjustable link on the top side of the heel, and then that allows me to move the boom plenties of movement to be able to keep my auger straight. You could actually see it kind of pull and turn to the left side just a little bit due to the torque of the machine. I'm gonna go ahead and shorten this link just a little bit more to help compensate for that just a hair. So now we're just going to take our manual post hole diggers and just reach down in there in the bottom and get that loose dirt and clean it out of there. That way we get to our full depth of 3 feet. And there we have it, 3 feet exactly. I'm gonna center this up as much as I can. And I'm gonna go ahead and kick a little bit of dirt in there around it. And you can see just that much will hold it in place to where that you can get your level now and check for plumb. So we're gonna go up and down on this side, and then we're gonna come around 90 degrees and check the other side. So we've got our tamping tool here, and I'm just gonna start packing that dirt in there pretty good around this thing. As we go, I'll continue to check for level and stuff as we're coming out. This is the part that gets tough. Now you can see the post move right there. That's not a big deal. because I'm going to fix that here in just a second. But as you pack this dirt in there around it, it's going to push that post around until you get it really shored up and get the dirt kind of filling in there pretty good. Don't hurt to check it, but there's not much you can do at this point. Once you get it worked in there. That is definitely one heck of a workout. But there's one thing about it though, this post, I mean, it is solid where it's at right now. If there is any give to that, it's simply in the post itself. I mean, this thing is solid as a rock, let alone when I put the brace in and tie it to another post. So you can see here what we've actually got going on. I've got a nice tamped in section all the way around through there. Still got about 1.5 inches, 2 inches to bring it all the way up to ground level. So we'll keep putting in a little bit more dirt. You know, the main thing is, you know, doing this a layer at a time. If you try to fill this all the way in at one time and then tamp the dirt down, yeah, you'll get a little bit of compaction there, but what you really want is a good, tight compaction from all the way down 3 feet all the way up. So our specifications that we're following calls for our H-brace to go in 3 feet above the ground and 2 feet from the top of the post. So basically 24 inches from the top should be 3 feet from the ground. So if you've got your post and everything set right, obviously that's what your measurement's going to be, because we're supposed to have 5 feet above the ground. So we're going to go down 24 inches, make us a mark, and we're going to do the same thing down here on the other end. So down here on this end, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 24 inches down. You actually, whenever you're doing a corner, you can't go 24 inches on the front and this side, because your pins will end up hitting each other. So we're going to move that just a little bit. So we actually drilled this one wrong the first time, and I actually moved it up just a little bit from where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to bring this one and put it where it's supposed to be at 24 inches, and it should go just under the pin on this one. So this is actually where I messed up on the other side. I drilled the hole for the pin on this end for the 4-inch pin, or in my case 5-inch pin. They didn't have any 4-inch pins at my local stores, so I ended up getting a 5-inch galvanized pin. The end, when your fence pull is going that way, this is the end that you put your long pin in, so it sticks out the other side. And then back here on your corner post, that's the end you put your short pin in. did start raining on me, and I was trying to get this done so I didn't move the camera around while I was doing this, but we're gonna have a ton more corners and H-braces and stuff to do, so I'll go a lot more in detail on some of those. But I'll show you right now what I've got. And again, I apologize for not doing that right now, but like I said, I was trying to beat the rain, and I didn't beat it. And then I was trying to at least get this brace finished before I had to quit, so I just started trying to jump in there and start running the wires and doing all that kind of stuff. And we did get it together, so I'm happy about that, but I'm not happy that I didn't get some good footage of actually what I was doing here, but I'll show you what I did do. So down here on this end of the post, or on the corner post, you can see I've got one going that way and one going across. So I've got my staples for the one that is going across, and I've got the staple in, and I've got two staples here for the wire to kind of ride on. And then I did put one over it. I don't think that's necessary, but I put one over it after I got everything tightened, but I didn't tighten it down. That was just kind of hold things in place. So probably a little overkill. But over here on this end, I tried to put one really close to the wires right here, and that actually wasn't working. I couldn't get my staples in there to ride down on that. I couldn't get enough room in there. Plus, you know, I didn't figure it'd be good to really tighten that up in or against these wires all that good. So I went ahead and just moved it up about 1 inch just to allow myself enough room to drop these other two staples in there and then run the wire underneath it that goes up to the top brace. So over here on this end, this was the end that had the long pin that it's a 10-inch pin, and you basically drive it all the way through your post and into your brace, and you leave it sticking out just a little bit in order to hook these wires onto. That way, when you pull tension on the wires, you're pulling from the bottom of that post and pulling the top of this post towards it and really locking those in there tight. And the reason for that is because our fence is actually going to be running that way. So whenever your fence line is pulling this way, you want your brace to pull the opposite direction. So that way you end up having, basically they're pulling against each other so that your post will stay nice and solid. One last thing, we are currently using these ratchet strainers. And in order to hook this on here, it took me a few minutes to figure out exactly what was going on, but you just hook your wire, one end of your wire, through the end of the ratchet strainer, then your other end, there's a hole right here in the middle of that, and you just stick it through there and then you wind it up. And it's probably a good idea to have 3 or 4 windings on there. It's really a good idea to have a long tail off of this end, because that way you'll have plenty of leverage to bend that around. And I think there's supposed to be about 6 wraps on there. I actually cut my wire just a little bit short on this one, and it was really tough for me to bend that around it. Even using tools, this wire is very stiff. So I got it pretty good. It doesn't seem to be moving. I'm gonna try to get me a couple tools and try to bend that just a little bit farther, and then I'll cut it off a little bit closer to the wire so it's not sticking out. From my understanding, the specifications on this through the state and everything, this is supposed to be designed to last 20 years this way. We'll see. If we only have to do this once every 20 years, I'll be happy with that.